Howdy YouTube, and welcome to this episode of The Gunman. So today we're going to be doing another review and demonstration, and today we have the limited edition, brand new, hot off the press, limited edition SATA Jet Bionic. So the gun behind it is just a SATA 5500, and yeah, they've got a new limited edition design, and as you're about to see, it's a pretty cool one. So yeah, basically I ended up getting the 1.2i. Last time I got the 1.3i and it was great for summer, but after some thought I've decided that the 1.2i is probably a bit of a more of an all-rounder. There's something that you can hang on the door of the booth to let people know that you're busy. No, I'm just joking. So continuing on, we have the beautiful design. So it's one of the better ones. I was asking Alan, I said, what would you give that out of 10 for the design? Because look, I personally get loads and loads of limited editions. They always get sent out to me to do a bit of a public service announcement, let everybody know that they exist. And Spray Guns Direct obviously sent this one out as usual, and there will be a link in the description as usual. But yeah, I said to Alan, I said, what do you think of this one out of 10? And I think he said like 8 to 10, something like that. So he rated it pretty highly, and I said, oh look, I'd probably give it a 7. I said, which is pretty good for a SATA, because as Alan even said, like it's probably the best, and I agree, it is the best limited edition SATA I've seen yet. But some of the other guns like the Vigilante, the Nebula, and I would say that the best of the best would have to be things like the Iwata Hakone limited edition Turnpike one, and also my coveted Lotus. I still believe that that Lotus is probably the best, the most beautiful gun I've ever had, the best looking. So that's one that's always going to stay in the collection for that simple reason. But it also gets used too, so it's not just like something I'm going to just sit up on the shelf and never use. But one of the first things I did notice when I opened this box up is that there's a slightly different change of the things that you get with it. So you may have noticed that there was actually a plastic spanner there, which I actually liked. Because you're not going to have metal on metal, so it's going to be a bit more forgiving when you are undoing the parts off the spray gun, less chance of sort of slipping and damaging it. So I thought that was pretty cool. Also, I noticed that they had like a 5-pack of seals. Now, I don't know exactly where they go. I didn't look right into it. I obviously don't need them yet, but I was thinking to myself, well, that could be a good thing or a bad thing, because usually you don't need them, but to me it's like nearly admitting that these seals do go, if you know what I mean. I mean, it's good to have them, but it's nearly an admission that you're going to need them one day down the track. But hey, as I say, I could be wrong and I could be reading too much into it. But apart from that, they give you a couple of RPS pots with it, which is pretty cool, because the RPS pots, so that's these reusable pots that you see me with on here, and I actually really do quite like the SATA RPS. I do quite like the 3M PPS as well, but the SATA RPS are a nice, clean, disposable pot system. Obviously, like anything with the name SATA on it, it's going to be expensive. So yeah, look, at the end of the day, this is a gun that I personally wouldn't spend this kind of money on. But as I say, I'm just letting you guys know that it's out there. This is another criticism I've always had with the SATA digitals, and obviously non-digitals too, unless you go and get the Atom dock. But it's just a very unnatural position for me to adjust the air pressure. Like, I don't know if you noticed that back a couple of seconds ago, but yeah, it's just a very unnatural position for me to put my hands into. And I know the SATA Brigade is getting down there in the comments, ready to call me a DeVilbiss fanboy for life and all that stuff in the comments, but it's all good, man. I'm just pointing out a couple of things that what I think about the gun. You know, at the end of the day, like, this is just a review. The purpose of this video is to point out the strong points and the flaws and come to a conclusion of, you know, whether or not I would buy it. And then at the end of the day, like, you're welcome to buy it, you're welcome not to buy it. No, it's just like all of my videos, there's no pressure at all to go and buy the things in any of my videos. And yeah, look, honestly, for the price of these things, knowing the other guns that are out there on the market, I personally wouldn't spend this kind of money on a spray gun. I mean, and I was thinking about it today, and I'm like, I totally understand why you would, like, why you would want to, but I'm nearly, like, I'm that guy that's like playing catch up, if you know what I mean. Like, I wasted all my dough in my 20s, like, I didn't save anything. I went out on the weekends. It would be nothing for me to spend like $300 to $500 on a Friday night. wake up with a headache and then look at my bank account. Like, I'm not joking, man. Like, I would wake up on Saturday morning and like well, probably afternoon most of the time, to be honest. And I would like, oh, okay, I've got to do it. And I've got to log in to check out my bank account. And I'm like, oh, what's the damage, you know? So at the end of the day, like, that's really wasting your money, you know. Like, if you want to spend $1,000 on a spray gun or $1,000+ on a limited edition spray gun, it's not really that much of a waste of money, but it's definitely not the most cost-effective spray gun that you can get. And at the end of the day, like, it does really lay down a nice coat of clear coat. Now, the funny thing, this is something else that I wanted to mention, right? So this is the 1.2i. So these SardaJet X, the X5500s, they've got two different fan pattern options. Now, you could probably go back and check through my channel. I've actually got like a bit of a chart. If you go back and watch my initial SardaJet X5500 review. So basically what it is, like the O pattern is, the center of the fan is more of an oval, whereas the I fan pattern is like more of a flat fan pattern. So that's referring to the width of the fan, not the height, the width of the fan. So it's very narrow in the center, whereas the O pattern is more of an oval in the center. So basically what that eventuates in is a bit of a flatter finish and less material coming out per pass. And I actually prefer that. And I've always been a DeVilbiss sprayer. Now, I'm like 100% honest with you, this nearly sprays like a Pro Light with a TE20, but like with a slightly larger fan on it. That's what it feels like to me. So it's like nearly like a Pro Light on steroids, if you know what I mean, and that's even with the 1.2. Now, if you've been watching the channel for a while, I've also called out SardaJet on their fluid tip sizes, and they don't actually quite measure up. So that's been one thing that can be hard to adjust to, like especially, and it can also make it hard to pick a fluid tip and a setup. So I do prefer the RPs. I've always liked the RPs better, but they do have HVLP setups as well. I believe that in the States, they push the HVLP because it's all about saving materials. But personally, I don't really like the finish that the HVLP will give you. I mean, they can be okay with the thicker clears, but in saying that, I don't think many people even in the States would use them for a clear gun, the HVLP. They'd probably be more likely to use them for the base coat colors and then go up to their RPs for clear coat. So don't quote me on that, but I would imagine that would be the case. So yeah, when these guns were brand new, the X5500s that is, I got sent out 2 of the guns and 2 spare setups so I could do a really in-depth review, and I could also get the hang of all the different setups and which ones I preferred. So Spray Guns Direct were really great for that, but out of the 4 setups, so the 2 guns and the 2 spare setups, that's 4 setups all up, 3 of them were spraying, I can't remember if it's top or bottom heavy, I think it was like bottom heavy. And yeah, I was blown away by it. So actually, there is a video up on YouTube about that, and I didn't want to publish it because I could just imagine the Sarda army like coming at me, bruh, you know. But it was actually received really well. People really did appreciate the honesty. And I've actually since then had loads of people like leaving me DMs on Instagram and just leaving comments here, there, and everywhere about them also having slightly off X5500 fan patterns, like just slightly off. And as I said, like in those original videos that I pointed it out, it wasn't massive, but to me, as someone with a keen eye, and I look at spray gun fan patterns like every single day, and I sort of am really going to notice a faulty fan pattern, or even if it's just a slightly faulty fan pattern. So what I did was like turn it on the side and then just pump black paint through it onto some cardboard, and it was definitely heavier on one side than it was on the other, and you could really tell by the way that it was running. So black paint is actually the way that you want to test a fan pattern. And I got a ANI R160, I think it was, yeah, so that's the new minigun from ANI's. I'm actually going to be doing a review on that very soon, so keep an eye out for that. But I was actually reading one of their little flyers, the things that I usually put in the bin, straight into the bin. I was reading one of them, and it actually said that there may be slight traces of black paint in this gun because we use black paint to test the fan pattern. So that's actually something that some of the manufacturers do use. But yeah, closing thoughts on this gun. Personally, I would rather pay an extra $1,000 off my home loan than have this gun. I'd probably see myself more likely to get 2 Pro Lights or a Bellaria and a Pro Light, or 3 or 4 or 5 FLG5s, something like that. You know what I mean? But hey, if you want one, I totally get it. Like, the build quality on these is great. I think I would hope that they've, at the very least, I would hope that they've ironed out all those faulty fan patterns. And on the other hand, if you buy from a reputable seller and you had the faulty fan pattern, there would be no questions asked. Send it back, or at the very least, send us proof, and then they would say, yes, send it back. They will get it replaced for you. No dramas at all. So that's why I say, like, sort of be careful with some of those eBay sellers. You might get it a bit cheaper, but they may not provide that after sales service and return policies and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, again, I'd just like to say a big thanks to Spray Guns Direct. And again, if you would like one of these guns, there is a link down in the description as usual. I'd like to say a big thanks to everyone for watching, and if you'd like to support the channel further, you're more than welcome to go over and check out some of the merchandise we've got. My personal favorite is those spray suits. So they're a good quality Colad branded spray suit with a Gunman logo on it. There's also hats, drink coolers, hoodies, and t-shirts, so be sure to go over and check out the link in the description if you are interested. All that aside, I'd just like to say a big thanks for watching, and that is enough to support the channel. But as I say, if you'd like to go the next step, then be sure to check out some of that merchandise. Thanks for watching, and until next time, get out there and paint some shit. Gunman out.